All right, you made a bushcraft kit. It's time to get outside and see what you can do. What should you do? Stick around, let's talk about it. What's up, everybody? PAoutdoors here, and we're going to continue our series on getting started in bushcraft. And we're going to talk about, what do you do when you're out there? So you've put together a kit, and I would suggest go back and look at the kit video on just some of the very basic things that you need to bring with you. And we're going to expand on that a little bit. So you've got your kit, you have decided you're going to go out there. What do we do? First thing we do is we're going to tell people, friends, loved ones, spouse, whatever, there's a fly in my house. All right, it already feels like we're outdoors. Anyways, you're going to tell people where you're going, how long you expect to be out, when you expect to be back. That's number one. Anytime you head out in the woods, you should do that. Number two, once you've got your spot, trek in a mile, maybe two. You don't need to go out in the middle of the wilderness, just for the sake of, kind of the feel. Obviously, you don't want to be in the view of houses or roads, but so don't go trekking off in the middle of nowhere because you don't need to. You're going to spend just a few hours in the woods, 3 or 4 hours, whatever you're comfortable with doing. You're not spending the night. We're not there yet. And you may never be there, and that's fine. You don't have to spend overnights out in the woods sleeping under a tarp to enjoy practicing some of these bushcraft skills. Okay, so we know where, we know when, we've told people when and where. We've got our kit. What else should we bring? Anything else? Sure. You're going to spend a few hours out there. You're going to have a fire. Let's bring something to eat. Let's bring something we can cook over the fire. Let's bring some sort of hot beverage, whether it be coffee, tea, whatever. And that way you're also testing your kit. You can warm up, you can heat up your water in your water bottle or your canteen cup and make yourself a cup of coffee. There's nothing better than eating a meal and drinking a hot cup of coffee or tea out in the woods. I can tell you that right now. Whether it be a mountain house meal or you're bringing just, a package of ramen soup, a can of stew, something you can peel the label off, open it up and put it right on the coals, whatever you want to do. But it just seems like it's a much more enjoyable experience if you're, having a meal and a hot drink out in the woods. That's just me. All right, so let's get into some of the skills. There's no reason to go hardcore, but as I said in the previous video, you want to bring some reference material with you. You want to bring, at least something maybe you've printed off on the internet of how to do some very basic knots. So we're going to practice knots. We're going to practice lashings. We're going to try and make a tripod, something put over the fire, where maybe at some point you can practice cooking, hanging something on the tripod, practice cooking over the fire that way. Obviously, most of these things we're going to do, we're going to focus around the fire and our knife. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try and make a fire. So I would suggest as you're walking to wherever you've determined is going to be your campsite, start looking around, looking at different trees, what looks like it would make good tinder, picking up, very small kindling, nothing bigger than the size of a pencil, preferably much smaller than that. And, stuff it in your bag, stuff it in a pocket, whatever. Inner barks, cattail fluff, just experiment. Obviously, the key to that is knowing what you don't want to touch. Poison ivy, poison oak, poison sumac. You need to know what those look like so you can avoid them. And most of those things are nothing that would be good for fire making anyways, so there's really no reason to be going after it, but it's still good to know. You don't need to know every tree in your particular forest. You just need to know some qualities of what you're looking for. Light, fluffy, type of material. And for that matter, even bring a roll of jute twine. You can pick that up at a hardware store, Walmart, wherever, because you can always separate all the fibers from jute twine and make yourself a real nice tinder bundle that you can light with your ferro rod. But I would practice trying to find tinder. So when you get to your location, you have most of the materials you need, start trying to make your fire. Obviously using your ferro rod and the back of your knife to strike that ferro rod, and just keep at it. If you're starting to get frustrated, that's when you bust out your cotton balls and your lighter, get your fire going so you can move on to another task. My dad always told me, if you start getting frustrated with something you're doing, take a step back, move on to something else, and come back to that later. Otherwise, you're just going to get more frustrated, you're going to give up, you're going to turn around, you're going to go home. So fire making. And like I said, knots, lashings, the knots and lashings, you're going to need that to make a tripod, to hang a tarp for some sort of lean-to tarp shelter. And knots are very easy things to practice, and practice them a little bit at home first, get out in the woods, and really put them into real world use. Notches. You can find it online. It's called a tri-stick. You can find the directions online. It's usually just a picture of the different notches and what they look like. And you print that up, bring that with you, and make yourself a tri-stick. This will cover, probably 90% of the notches you'll ever need to learn how to do for making pot hangers, for making tent pegs. You get into it, you learn notch for a bow, to string a bow, just all sorts of things. So a tri-stick, I think, is something that, and you can just sit next to your fire, pull out your knife, and just practice it. For me, it's relaxing. And again, so that was interesting. My voicemail just called me. I'm not sure how that works, but that's what happened. If anyone knows what causes that, put that in the comment section, because that's interesting. Where was I? The tri-stick, yes. So just, like I said, if you screw up a notch, start over, try again. Don't get frustrated with any of this stuff. What else are we going to work on? Obviously, we're trying different tinders. We're working on notches. We are working on knots. You get your fire going, try and make some char cloth. You've got that denim or 100% cotton material with you, cut it into strips, cut it into, maybe 2-inch long pieces, whatever fits in the Altoids tin. Put them in that tin, don't pack them tightly, put them in that tin, toss them in the fire, toss them in the coals, and when you stop seeing the little flame, you stop seeing smoke coming out of the hinges, take a couple sticks, grab that thing as you would if you were like using tongs, drag it out, let it cool completely, pull out a piece, grab your ferro rod and your knife, throw some sparks on it, and see if you can get it to catch an ember. It's very satisfying when you make char cloth, and if you've got that tinder material or you've made a bird's nest with some jute twine, blow it into flame. That's really satisfying when you can just blow a pile of whatever into flame. It's pretty enjoyable stuff, guys. It really is. If this stuff even remotely interests you, you'll have a really good time doing some of this stuff. It's relaxing. You get to listen to the birds, see some wildlife, and it's relaxing. And I cannot stress that enough. Let it be relaxing. Don't get frustrated. You get frustrated with something, move on to something different. It will come. And you mastered one skill, move on to the next one until that one's mastered. Some of these things you'll never master. Knot tying is, if you don't continually tie knots constantly over and over again, you're going to forget. You just will. I have to go back and look at certain knots. How do you tie that again? Because I haven't done it in a long time. So I look it back up. So there we go. We've made a hot meal, we've had a hot drink, we've done some carving, we've done some knot tying, maybe we've tried to make charcloth, we've built a fire. You know, that's what it's all about. That's what bushcraft is. It doesn't require you to spend, like I said, you know, weeks out in the woods sleeping under a tarp and just trying to be as brutally rustic or whatever that you need to be. You know, and if you want to do that and you feel comfortable doing it and confident enough, yeah, great, do it. But you don't need to do it right away. That's all I've got for you here. The next one is going to be probably, in my opinion anyways, the most challenging part of bushcraft. And that's going to be, where do I do it? So that's going to be the next video. This is PAoutdoors. Please comment on this video, like, share it, subscribe to my channel. That's always appreciated. And get outdoors, enjoy yourself, but remember, be safe out there. Thanks for watching.